Hey everyone, I wanted to thank y'all for joining me. Today I'd like to have a brief discussion on the size of the firearms that we'd like to carry. This video is tentatively going to be titled, In Defense of a Larger Gun. We live in a day today in which we are so inundated with a market full of these tiny, subcompact, or even micro-sized guns. While I think that a few of these micro-sized guns can be a very good value, many of them can be very easily shot, many of them can be reliable and easily carried. I think that there is a problem in continuing to reduce down the size of carry firearms. Now, I'm only going to be talking about 9mm firearms in this video, and that's primarily going to be the focus of my intensity here. Now, if you wanted to have a very small gun that's a .380, I can absolutely understand. Now, also, there are some people that like to have a 5-shot revolver that shoots .38 special. We're not going to talk about that either. What we're going to talk about, though, is the old 9mm. Now, this is one of the most effective self-defense cartridges on the market right now when you combine efficiency and the amount of rounds you can carry. One of the issues that I find is that this round is powerful enough for even the most experienced shooters to have a lot of discomfort and lack of accuracy once the firearm becomes small. It becomes a little bit overpowerful when you have a little tiny single stack firearm. So here I'm going to examine the fact that I believe that in the best case scenario, you should just simply go a little bit bigger and get a better experience, more accuracy, more parts availability, and general better experience, okay? Now, one of the big things that I've had an issue with is using a full-size firearm like this Walther PDP or this Pig SIG P226. These are 4.5-inch barreled guns. They really need to be carried in a holster outside the waistband or in a 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock position inside the waistband holster only. I do want to say that every gun on the table has been safety checked numerous times before we've even started this process, but just I wanted to confirm before we go too further in. These are full-size guns, meaning that they'll have probably 17 round magazines as well as 4.5-inch or maybe 4.25-inch or longer barrels, some as long as 5-inch. One of the things that is important to consider is that these guns can be a little bit cumbersome to carry. As a result, most of the guns that we'll be talking about in this case will be a variation of a gun that has a larger frame but is a shorter version. For instance, the 226 is a large gun, and it has potentially a 17 or 18 round magazine if you have an extension a little bit, and a 4.5-inch barrel, technically 4.4. There is a smaller version of this gun called the P229. And if you look at this gun overlaid over the top of that, you can see that there is a distinctly shorter barrel by 1/2 inch, and that the frame is a little bit shorter. However, this can carry 15 rounds, and it has a barrel length of 4 inches. Another small firearm in this case, the SIG M18 or P320. This one has been highly modified, but I'm just going to show you for the purposes of this video. 3.9-inch barrel, a standard frame will hold between 15 and 17 rounds. Another firearm in this category, this is the USP Compact by HK. Just under a 4-inch barrel, 15 round, a round-ish magazine with some slight modifications. The SIG, or excuse me, HK P2000, a cousin of the USP Compact. This is a around 4-inch barrel, 15 round capacity. Are you starting to sense a trend here? One of the things is that the Glock 19, the M&P Compact, the PDP Compact, the Canic, most guns have a size that is right around 4-inch barrel, 15 round magazine, and they are all about the exact same size. In my opinion, this is one of the perfect sizes for this firearm. One of the reasons why I believe so is that if you have normal, medium to large size hands like I do, you can see that this firearm is generally about the size of my hand. So the idea is I can always have a strong grip on this gun. If I have a gun that has an extra inch cut off the bottom and an extra inch cut off here, the likelihood of that gun having a harsher recoil rolling back like this is higher because of the shorter barrel. The likelihood of me being able to have a full grip on it is also lower because I will probably only be able to have these two these two fingers. So being able to have a third finger grip and a little bit longer barrel, in my opinion, increases my accuracy and potentially even reliability to such a degree that making an additional bit of room in my holster is worth it to me. Now, there are a lot of things that are needed to be considered, but I really believe that the trade-offs that you can have going from a small pistol, a teeny tiny little 9mm single stack, or a tiny double stack, such as the smaller G43 or the FN Reflex or the Shield, that can have some drawbacks. If you have larger hands, you could actually cause cyclic issues because you may not be able to get a proper grip as the gun is recoiling. That can cause short stroking, or what some people call limp wristing. That can affect your reliability. Having a shorter sight radius between the rear and the front sight can make you less accurate. The amount of recoil that you might have is potentially going to be overwhelming depending on your grip strength. A lot of times people may use a 124 grain standard pressure, but in order to get the same performance from their bullet because of the lack of the barrel length that they have, may decide to go to a plus P or a heavy for caliber 147 grain bullet. I believe that this can cause some problems, increasing the recoil even more, because in order to get the performance that you'd like, you are making a compromise. I believe that in this particular case, being able to adequately control a firearm is better than being able to adequately make sure that no one knows that you can conceal. That being said, there are some places that it really does matter whether or not you are printing. I need to tell you something about myself that I learned. I am of a particular shape in which I do not wear belts very well. And so a belt holster just doesn't work for me. I can sometimes wear an inside the waistband appendix carry if I'm wearing my suspenders, because belts tend to slide down my backside. I have learned that in the position for me in which inside the waistband appendix carry can be worn, that a gun the size of a G43 and a gun the size of this P2000 have about the same size of a print against my large belly. So one of the things I've learned is that if that is the case for me, I would much rather carry a gun that gives me more control, less recoil, and if anything, more ammunition. Being able to adequately carry 14, 15 rounds is a big deal. This P2000 magazine has been modified for 14 or 15 rounds. Now, one of the things I learned is that I used to enjoy carrying this fanny pack. This is my breakfast rig, which, as you can see, there's gravy and syrup and things on it, because I don't like to wear a big shoulder rig, and I also like to conceal, and in my state, I have a license that allows me to do that. I started by carrying small firearms in this fanny pack, but one of the things that I learned was that carrying a small firearm was something that I could easily do on my person or in this bag. This 229 can easily fit inside of this bag, and it can be zipped up. Although further experimentation showed me that this Colt 1911 Commander easily fit inside of this bag. Okay, that was great. And then I decided to go a little bit larger. My favorite carry gun, my SIG M18 1811, could go into this with a little bit of finagling. Now, it's not ideal, of course, because this gun has an optic and it has to use the short magazine instead of the 21 round magazine. But it allows me to carry my absolute favorite firearm on my person concealed. So once I realized that that was the case, I realized that once I found a carry system that allowed me to have the type of firearm that I wanted, I didn't have to worry about concealing. And so one of the points that I'd like to make is that if you decide that you want to carry and you find a system on your body or over your shoulder or in a waistband or something, I suggest that you buy the largest firearm that you can comfortably carry in that situation. If it's a fanny pack, you know what? This giant Walther PDP fits inside this fanny pack. It's not the greatest fit, but if I desperately needed, I can grab a full-size gun like a G19 or a G17. Now, obviously, the Bisley Blackhawk is certainly not going to work. So there is a limit, okay? My platypus will not fit there, but a gun very much like this M&P Performance Center Carry Comp, which is kind of a full-size gun with a 17-round magazine, can fit inside of this fanny pack. So, if anything, what I think is a good idea to consider is look at getting a larger firearm and expand your carry abilities. Expand the part of your body that you might wear it on, but I believe that if I've learned anything over the years, my inability to feel safe and secure with a super micro compact firearm has led me to believe that if you can make any adjustments to your shooting ability or your carry options, it is that you should focus on being able to carry comfortably and to be able to conceal, if that is your intent, the largest firearm possible. Because the complete drawbacks that you get from having a tiny micro compact are so greatly outweighed by the benefits that come from a gun with around a 4-inch barrel and a 15-round magazine are almost universally accepted as one of the best ways to carry a 9mm firearm. I hope that you were able to enjoy this video and take a little bit of the knowledge that I've learned over the years and learn from a few of my mistakes. But I hope that you will be able to feel free to answer or ask any questions of me, and I will do everything that I can to help you out. I hope that everyone's doing well. God bless you all.